All right, ophthalmic viscoelastic device. Right. So for surgical instruments, we will start off with the knife that we actually use to create our phaco wound. Okay, from what you can see for the photo from the right side, yeah, this is a photo of a surgeon making wounds, phaco wounds, and this is done by using a keratome. And that photo on your left, okay, all right, and that's the first wound that should be done for phaco. All right, there are actually many types of keratome for clear corneal incision for our phaco wound. There are many brands, many types, many design, and the most important thing is the size of the knife, so that you have to know the size of the knife so that it can incorporate in the phaco tip with the sleeve, and also for the lens cartridge. All right. Down below is actually the straight knife, 15-degree, used for the side port paracentesis. Okay, right? Some surgeons just use the main knife for the side port, but you can also use 15-degree for that. Okay. From the photo, you can see some of the surgeons is just using the keratome, and some surgeons, they can actually use the 15-degree. All right, so it is actually made of a stainless steel, like I said before, has many types and design, and it has to be compatible with the sleeve of the phaco tip and also the cartridge. This is just the example of the size available. All right. Then we move on to the instrument for our capsulorhexis. Capsulorhexis is actually when we want to tear off our part of our anterior capsule. So there's an opening, so then we can actually fix in our IUL later, right? So it can be done either using our capsulorhexis forceps or can be done using cystotome. There are many types of capsulorhexis forceps. They either very easy sharp tip or blunt tip. It can have both tips. Means that one side is blunt, one side is sharp, and it has various size. You say it's a smaller size for a smaller wound. Let's say less than 2.2 wound. All right. Bigger size for a bigger wound, which is more than 2.4. It is usually angled about 45 degree. So you need to know the available size of your capsulorhexis so that it can fit in your wound, and you can actually do the capsulorhexis easily without actually um, stretching your phaco wound, right? This is very important. Okay, cystotome is actually a 30 gauge needle attached to 30 gauge or 26 gauge needle attached to 1 mil syringe. And then you can see actually the tip of the needle is actually bent. All right, this so that the sharp part, the needle will actually tear off the anterior capsule, and we can create flap. All right, but some surgeon, then after that, the surgeon can actually use either blunt tip capsulorhexis forceps just to continue the capsulorhexis. But some surgeon can actually do the entire capsulorhexis using only the cystotome. Okay, now we move on to the phaco. We start off with the phaco emulsification hand probe. All right, it consists of the handpiece, and we have the phaco tips, and then it actually being tightened by a wrench. Okay, it's actually the probe contains what we call a piezoelectric crystal, which is when these crystals, when it is in contact with the tip, it can actually converts the electrical energy into ultrasonic movement. It's actually when we connect the electrical energy, the crystal change its shape and it causes a movement, and that can actually change into energy. All right. Then the handpiece is actually attached to a phaco tip and covered by the silicone sleeve. As you can see, at the proximal end, the hand probe will be attached to console for electric cord, and at the irrigation and aspiration tube as well. And infusion fluid will actually flow between the tip and the sleeve so that it will cool it down. Okay, so previously we have a traditional handpiece which the crystal is actually coupled to the phaco tip, and it's actually produce a longitudinal to and fro movement to actually emulsate the nucleus. Okay, then later we have another technology, what we call a Ozil handpiece by Alcon, and that produce a torsional movement when the crystal oscillate at 36 kilohertz frequency, and that produce a torsional movement. Okay, then later another technology when by this ellipse by AMO with the ellipse transversal ultrasound handpiece, yeah, and that produce an elliptical transversal movement of the tip. All right. Then we have other advances like active century handpiece where they incorporate fluidic pressure sensor. Uh, then actually different probe has different crystals inside the probe, and with a more crystal, they can have a more stroke length of the tip, but the frequency is actually fixed. Right. And then attached to the probe is actually the phaco tips. There are a lot of phaco tips. Okay. Basically, it is actually made or all made with of titanium, and it is actually a hollow structure with a distal opening functioning as an aspiration port. Okay. Then is covered by the silicone sleeve, and the silicone sleeve has two openings, which is 180-degree apart. And if you notice that the phaco tips actually bevel at angle from 0 to about 60-degree, and then this depends. This is designed in such a way that it depends on the surgery what the surgeon prefers. So let's say for the 0-degree, it holds more of the nucleus. But for the more its angle, the more of the cutting function of the tips. All right. We have a standard tip straight. It is 19G with the outer diameter of 1.1 mm and inner diameter of 0.9 mm. Then we have a Kalman tip, Kalman conventional tip. It has a distal, band distal end, all right? This design actually cause a lesser stress on the wound, and also it can actually can cause a electrical motion at cutting tip, all right, during the cutting of the nucleus, which they think is actually more effective in hard nucleus. Then we have a micro tip, which is straight. It is smaller, 21 gauge diameter with the outer diameter of 0.8 mm and inner diameter of 0.6 mm. And for small gauge, it has actually better nuclear starting and also for surge protection. Then we have a balance tip with aspiration bypass system. Okay, it is actually this is the balance tip. Okay, and then it has got this balance aspiration bypass system, which is 0.18 mm hole at distal end, and it results in continuous outflow, and that cause less thermal effect and surge. All right. And they found that this balance tip actually designed for torsional ultrasound with the 50% enhancement in the lateral movement. So it's actually more effective compared to the conventional Kalman tip. We have other tip as well, call it macro, flare, microflow, cobra, and turbosonic, so on and so forth. Right, then we move on to the next step, which is the nucleus chopper or rotator. Okay, we always call this second instrument. All right, then it inserted mostly through the side port, and we use together with the phaco probe during the nucleus cracking or chopping. And we use our second instrument also during IOL dialing. And it also has many types and design. They have a blunt, Nagahara, sharp, long or short, can have Sinski. Okay, we have other types, so many types of nucleus chopper and rotator. Then the irrigation and aspiration handpiece, right? It is actually a smooth rounded tip with two ports with for irrigation and aspiration. And the tips is either straight or angulated. Okay, angulated to 45 or 90 degree. And the size of the port is ranges from 0.2 to 0.7 mm. And you will notice that the smaller port has actually better vacuum seal. We have two types, coaxial and also bimanual. For the coaxial, is actually the irrigation and the aspiration ports on a single handpiece, but for the bimanual, it's on a separate handpiece. So the function is actually to aspirate the cortex and also for OVD removal. Next is then the tubing. We have the tubing, which is what the phaco probe is attached to the machine and also by the sterile cassette. It's made of silicone and function as an irrigation and aspiration. And then the sleeve. The bottom one, the bottom photo is the sleeve. It also made of silicone and also it covers phaco and IAT. And the fluid for irrigation actually flow between the sleeve and phaco tip to cool down our phaco tip so that there's much less wound burn. We have other instruments as well, like cannula. We use the Rycroft cannula, and we have IOL holding forceps like Kalman, and we have vision loop for staining our anterior capsule. What I do mention here is like speculum and also our surgical drapes. Okay. All right. Are you okay? Are you still with me? All right. So then we move on to ophthalmic viscoelastic devices. Yeah. So it's actually a viscoelastic solution used in ocular surgery to coat and protect our eye. And it's actually was first used in 1972. Okay. These are the compositions. Okay, it contains sodium hyaluronate, which is the biopolymer in connective tissue. Okay, including our aqueous and vitreous. It has chondroitin sulfate, which is the major polysaccharide in cornea, and HPMC. And this is actually a component of plant fibers. Okay. It has what we call rheological properties. Includes viscoelasticity, viscosity, pseudoplasticity, and the surface tension. For viscoelasticity, is actually the ability of the solution to return to its original shape after being stressed and increase with increased molecular weight and also greater chain of the molecules. And this is what allows the AC to be reformed after it being decompressed. Okay. Yeah, for example, after the wound construction. Okay, for viscosity, it's actually solution, the ability of the solution's resistance to flow. Okay, so for OVT, it actually measures in relative to a shear shear force, all right? And the measurement is in centipoise. So ideally, the viscose should be low viscosity at high shear rate when being injected into the AC, and high viscosity at low shear rate during the CCC, because we want to maintain the AC, and moderate viscosity at the medium shear rate during the IOL implantation. Next is pseudoplasticity. It's actually the ability of the solutions to transform under pressure from a gel-like substance to more liquid. Okay, so it is actually low viscosity at highest shear rate, and it can be easily injected into AC via a small cannula like Rycroft. Okay, and high viscosity at rest, so it maintains the AC. And as the pressure increases, OVD becomes more elastic and perform as shock absorbing gel. Okay, for surface tension, it's actually the coating ability of an OVD. It's actually determined by the surface tension of the OVD contact tissue and surgical instrument and IOL and etc. So the more dispersive of the OVD is actually more excellent the coating ability. All right. Then we have classification of the OVD. It's either cohesive or dispersive. For cohesive, it has a low molecular change, high molecular weight, high degree of pseudoplasticity, and high surface tension. So it actually pressurize the eye, it creates space, and ideal during capsulorrhexis and IOL insertion. So because it maintains the AC, right? And removal is very easy. For example, is Hilon GB or NVIS. For dispersive, it has lower viscosity, lower molecular weight, lower surface tension, and lower pseudoplasticity. So it actually coats the endothelium during the phaco, and it's actually ideal for soft shell technique in fused endothelial dystrophy, lubrication of the injector cartridge for IOL insertion. For example, visco or OcuCoat, right? We also we have a lot of combination OVDs. Okay, it's actually a single agent with a cohesive and dispersive properties. It is highly viscous dispersive OVDs. It flattens the AC during not flattening, sorry. It's actually maintain the AC during capsulorrhexis and also protect the endothelium during surgery. Okay, for example, Discovis or MVis. And we have another one, what we call visco-adaptive. It's actually a pseudo-dispersive, ultra-viscous cohesive. It's actually a OVD that can change its behavior at different flow rate. At lower flow rate, it actually becomes more viscous and cohesive. At higher flow rate, it becomes more pseudo-dispersive to protect the endothelium. For example, is Hilon 5 Pro. Yeah. So what we need in an ideal OVD to actually aid in our surgery. So it depends on the steps of surgery. So cohesive properties flatten the AC capsule during capsulorrhexis and expand the bag during IOL insertion and easy removal. For dispersive, it can protect the endothelium, chamber retention, and lubrication of the IOL cartridge. It should be non-toxic. It should be clear. Infusion should be easy. Removal should be easy. And also, we have another one with the combination with anesthesia. All right, so for take-home message, it's actually important on the knowledge and understanding of your basic tools and instruments in your phaco surgery for you to understand and for you to perform a good and safe surgery, and for you to know the basic and correct handling of the instruments. And you have to familiarize yourself with the instruments that are available at your own hospital. Okay?